Welcome in Sideline Sports Show here on this lovely Friday, Tim. It's not Friday Eve now. So on this
Yeah.
lovely Friday, we're joined live right here on the Sideline Sports Show, episode number 35, as we get closer and closer to college football, Tim. But we'll talk about that in a minute. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. If you notice, they got a little different backdrop today.
Yeah.
Little more scenic. It's not very boring as it very vanilla as usually is. People are working on the bathroom today, so it's a little noisy. So I figured I'd try to go to the furthest part of the house I can get away from all the noise. So
There you go. I mean, I was telling Tim before the show, literally, we have people upstairs above our business that are literally like drilling or redoing the floor up there. So it sounds like they're drilling a hole through the roof where we are. So hopefully that doesn't become a distraction, but we'll see. But Tim, I'm kind of glad we did the show today because now we get to talk about the whole NBA Finals. It is said, it is done. The Warriors have won their seventh championship in franchise history, fourth for Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala, and they all get their fourth
I almost kind of
NBA
forget
title.
he's on the team.
Yeah,
Iguodala. I kind of forgot he was on it. I was like, he's still playing.
yeah.
But yeah,
So
he is.
I'm telling you, it was a very very good game, very exciting game. Really kind of Boston kind of looked like they were playing it close for a while, and then the Warriors did what they do best. They come out in the fourth quarter and dominate and win that game 101 to 80 something, I think. I'd have to go
I think it
back
was
and look.
103.90. Yeah.
103.90. Yeah. So great job by the Warriors getting their fourth title. Tim, I think the talk today has been the Warriors were doubted for so many years, especially 3 years ago, having the worst record in the whole entire NBA. Klay Thompson was injured. Steph Curry was injured at that time. Draymond Green had a couple of small injuries here and there. People were saying he's not an elite defender anymore. They're saying Klay and Steph are past their primes, and they'll probably never win a championship again, and the dynasty ended. Do you think the dynasty is back, or has it ever even gone away?
I don't think it was really ever going away. It was just more so the fact that these guys were injured. I mean, and Klay Thompson, we know, I mean, tore his ACL, then blew out his Achilles. He hadn't been playing basketball in a couple years. Draymond Green's, we know, not really capable of carrying a team. He's not that type of player. And Steph Curry a year ago, he missed basically the entire season. I mean, he missed a good amount of time. I forget what the injury was, but he was out for a good long time. By the time he was even able to come back, they were so far gone. It was like, yeah, there's no point even. So they're able to get a top draft pick. They're able, and they've done pretty well. They've regrouped pretty well. They got Thompson back. Curry came back healthy, and I think it was more entertaining. Honestly, the troll job that they did, at the end of games, because they kept all the receipts from everybody that said they were not going to
Yeah.
win any titles. I mean, Curry went like that right up there because mocking, I think it was Kendrick Perkins, who was on ESPN, talking about how he was going to win 0 titles during his 4-year contract. Well, that obviously was proven false. So, and I think that was more entertaining just to see the troll job that they did because they kept every bit of the receipts and said, "How about us now?" So
Yeah.
shout out to the Warriors and stuff, man. They played a great series and stuff. They're NBA champions once again. I think this one was more. They had more to prove this time because the last couple times they had such a dominant team. Everybody that they have now was at the peak of their careers. And then they also got Kevin Durant in the midst of all that. It was so dominant. It was like no one even had a chance to even beat them. I mean, they had that postseason where they went 16-1 and only lost one game of the NBA Finals because LeBron James and the Cavaliers had a record shooting performance and still had to hold on late to win. So they had some seriously dominant teams in those 3 other titles with Curry. But this one, they had a lot of proof. They were a lot of doubters. They were coming off of one of the worst seasons that they've had in a long, long time, especially definitely the worst with Kerr and Curry, on the team. So they had definitely had a lot to prove. They kept the receipts, and no one really thought that they were going to do this. They had to beat some good teams. I mean, they had to go through John Morant. They had to go through, obviously, Boston Celtics at the end. I mean, they had to go through Luka
Luca.
Doncic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doncic as well. I mean, people are like, I don't know if this team's going to be able to do that, go through that gauntlet, but they proved those doubters wrong. So they win their fourth title, and they do so in pretty interesting fashion.
Yeah, and I like when you said two things. One, they kept the receipts. I love Klay Thompson's receipt that he kept. Is when they lost, I want to say it was to the Memphis Grizzlies at some point during the regular season. Jaren Jackson Jr. tweeted
Yeah.
out strength in numbers, and he said, "What a fool!" last night to tweet that. He said, "I'm going to go retweet it and just let everybody know." And I'm telling you, before he even said that interview, there was already about 50, 60 people already on Jaren Jackson Jr. for that one tweet. And so that tweet's blown up again all over Twitter because Jaren Jackson said strength in numbers. And so you've seen people retweet it. I've even retweeted it and said this tweet didn't age well. And so it definitely didn't. But the
It
other thing that
definitely
you
did not. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. The other thing that you mentioned was it seemed like it was more meaningful to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green to win these titles, or this specific title. Do you think that's true? Yes or no?
Yeah, and I think it meant so much more to Curry, because I heard Stephen A. Smith put it this way, and he's right. This was something that Curry did a very similar job of carrying his team to the playoffs. They're so heavy and so reliant on him. I don't think it was quite to the extreme of what LeBron did for Cleveland when he brought them a title, but it's a little bit distant off. I wouldn't say it's anywhere really close to that, but he really truly had to carry this team to, and that basically they wouldn't be there without him. And he was a huge part of this, and it just means more for his legacy. You know, it's like, hey, you won 2 rings with Kevin Durant. You know, it's just like, now this is your team. You cannot let anybody else go out there and take that MVP away from you. You like what happened with Andre Iguodala the last time. That had him, the NBA Finals ripped away from him. So it's one of the things where it was so important for Curry to win this, because this would be his championship with the Warriors, and it means so much more to him, and it would put him basically right there with LeBron James in the GOAT conversation as well. I don't think he's anywhere near or ever going to approach MJ territory,
Yeah.
but I think he's definitely within the conversation with LeBron James.
Yeah, and here's my next question, Tim. And this is going to stir up a lot of controversy when we post this video on social media.
Oh Lord,
Has
and it's going to be in
Curry,
my bed at the house too, so that's great.
yeah, has Curry passed LeBron James in the GOAT conversation? Yes or no?
That is a tough question.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say this because
Yeah.
LeBron James was something else when he came out. Obviously, everybody remembers what he came through, and he was such a dominant player, and he transcended the game.
Right.
But what has Curry done? What the Curry has inspired a whole youth to go out there and perform the way and try to shoot and play basketball the way that Curry does. I mean, he's transcended the game to, I mean, threes galore. Now, a lot of people say that's not great for the game of basketball. Whichever way, it doesn't matter. He's transcended the game, and he hasn't lost, 6 times in the NBA Finals, and he's still got a good amount of his career left to go. I mean, will he be able to shoot the 3 ball in his latter of his career? Because, I mean, now that's the one thing LeBron James might have over him will be longevity, just because LeBron
Yeah.
is doing what he's doing, and he's able to do it for such a long period of time. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Curry can, he's already set the all-time mark for 3-pointers in an NBA career. So it'll be interesting to see how he finishes his career. And I think he's got a couple more rings. And I think if he gets a couple more rings and he gets himself the same amount of titles as MJ has, he's definitely, in my book, definitely going to pass LeBron James. And plus, it doesn't help LeBron James. Doesn't he have like 6 losses in the NBA Finals as well? So
Well, that's what I was about to get
you could
to.
look at that positive. It's like, oh, he's been to the finals so many times. It's like, well, he's also gotten there and lost a lot. Curry's gotten there, and that's one thing people had with MJ. He got there and he got the job done. Curry, because I think he was 6-0 in the NBA Finals. Curry's for the most part done that, with the exception of, I mean, the one time that they lost in the NBA Finals was Game 7 in the season in which they broke the NBA record for wins in a regular season with 73. So that's a pretty good postseason resume, and that's a really good resume in itself. So I think I think he's going to pass him. Now, if he's past him right now, that's tough to say. But I mean, when you have, like I said, a player that has transcended the game as much as Curry has, he's been such an inspiration to the youth, and he's just and he's gotten to the postseason. He's been dominant in the regular season. He's almost every time he gets to the postseason, he's won it, and people are like, and he's won a postseason while putting a team on his back. So people can't really say he got carried to the titles either. So it's just one of those things where, to be in the GOAT conversation, you have to carry your team through the playoffs at least once, and I think Curry's earned that.
Yeah. Here's my 5 facts, Tim, that
Mm-hmm.
I think would be argued. Because here's the thing. People are like, oh, it's the greatest player of all times because they have this many rings. If that was the conversation and that's what we really looked at, like Curry and LeBron would be like mid-tier, like maybe bottom 10 of top players in the NBA. If we just looked at championships, right? So let's go based off facts, okay? Fact number 1, Curry has his 4th ring now, and that ties LeBron James. Okay. Like we said, we just took off championship, okay? They're the
Mm-hmm.
same right there. Fact number 2, Curry's done it in less tries than LeBron James has. It's just like you mentioned. LeBron
Half the
James has been to
tries.
the Yeah, exactly. And LeBron James has already done this. He's been there, done that, but has never been able to win them all when he needs to win them all. Curry, for the most part, has. All right. Fact number 3, Curry actually has a sweep on LeBron in the playoffs. It's true. Go back and look. All right. Fact number 4. Actually, I got 6. Um, Curry will have a better finals record than LeBron James, no matter what. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Curry makes the finals for the rest of his career. He more than likely will have more of a better finals record than LeBron James will. All right. Fact number 5. This is a big one for me. Curry did not jump teams. Because you saw LeBron
Yeah.
James, he's won 3 championships with 3 different teams, or 4 championships with, yeah, 3 championships with 3 different teams. The Heat, the Cavs, and now the Lakers a couple of years ago. And in fact, number 7, Curry did it with less help. That's a big argument that I think people could make, but you look, I mean, that year where they had KD, I would take, honestly, Kyrie Irving and LeBron James over Klay Thompson and Steph Curry in that time period. You would take them over Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Just honest opinion.
That's
And
interesting.
then I would say, all right, look at the other piece. Would you take Kevin Love over Kevin Durant? I would take Kevin Durant. And then Draymond Green over J.R. Smith. I would take J.R. Smith. That's what I'm saying. So right now, you obviously have a 3-to-1 ratio in just 4 players during that time where the Cavs and the Warriors played each other. So I'm just saying KD would be the only one that would stick out and you would pick on that side. So that's what I'm saying. Curry, it was very 2 good teams, but I'm saying that Curry, in a way, form, and fashion, had less help, and LeBron had more help to win those NBA finals. You're
But
thinking
so,
there. Go ahead.
did you say you'd rather have J.R. Smith over Draymond Green?
Like,
Pretty
I'm
sure I
talking
heard
about
that right.
overall together. Because
Are,
look, here's
are,
the thing.
are we talking about the same guy that made that bonehead decision where LeBron goes like this to him with the very famous meme? Are we
Okay,
talking about that
okay.
same J.R. Smith?
All right, fine. Take that out. Look, it's still like what? 3-2, maybe? Or 2-2. It would be even.
Wait. So you got LeBron James over? Go over it one more
Wait,
time with me. I want to make sure I got
okay.
this right.
So we got Kyrie Irving and LeBron James over Steph
Yeah,
Curry and Klay Thompson. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
we're talking about
In that in that
in their
time period.
primes.
In that
Okay,
time period of the
in
finals.
2016 era, we're talking
Yeah.
about.
In that whole stretch
That's
where the
close,
Cavs,
man.
I know
But
it's
yeah,
close, but me personally, I'd take Kyrie Irving and LeBron James
see, I'd actually take Steph and
in
Clay
that
because
time
you
period.
got to remember, while LeBron James, yes, and Kyrie Irving, they're great players, but you got to remember Klay Thompson. I mean, that was around that same time period that Klay Thompson was dropping. I mean, I
Yeah.
think around the same time period that Klay Thompson dropped like 30 and a quarter one time. Curry was doing everything he was doing. I mean, just making it. They were literally the Splash Brothers. They couldn't miss. So like, while I understand, I don't know if I fully would just blown away to take LeBron James and Kyrie Irving over Klay Thompson and Steph Curry just automatically, just because of they were the Splash Brothers and they were able to put up numbers that they were able to put up. And so I don't know. And the help that LeBron James has had. Now, I think we could probably take out two of the titles each, because Steph Curry had Kevin Durant for two of the titles. LeBron James had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh for two of his titles. So when we look at those other two titles, he had Kyrie Irving go along with him. He had Kevin Love being LeBron James in Cleveland. And then he also, and it's really tough to count that fourth title. I mean, it still goes in the record books, but it was that bubble with Anthony Davis and stuff that they recruited. They shipped off every one of them. I'm surprised they didn't ship off any of the scouts or GMs or something in that trade for Anthony Davis to New Orleans. I mean, it was a haul, which ended up working out for them at the time. But it's tough to really access that one because, like, a lot of people are like COVID championship. It was you suspended the season to be played later. It was just one of those things where it just didn't feel like a true NBA format. So it's like, yeah, you won a championship, but that's got a little bit of an asterisk to it. So, and then the other two ones for Curry, it's just like, yeah, he had a little bit. He basically had the same help with the first one as he did the other one. So I don't know. I look at it and I see Curry as just his championships that he has. It's been way more impressive to me. And again, like you said,
I agree.
Like you said, LeBron James went out there and switched teams, and it was just one of those. And Curry's done it with one team. Yeah. He went out there, he did it with one team. LeBron James has 4 titles with 3 different teams. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, for me, especially in that time frame, and looking back on it from now, like what we have to do, I would take Curry and Thompson.
Okay. I was thinking in that time period. So like the time where so I mean, now I would say 1000% Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, because we've seen what LeBron and Kyrie have done since then. But in that time period, I would have said Kyrie's a little bit more talented, a little bit more skilled. But it was like I said, it would have been very close. All right, next one. We had Draymond Green and J.R. Smith. That's the one that you really disagreed with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, wholeheartedly, because Draymond Green provides that kind of energy. J.R. Smith, other than being shirtless out there constantly, what else? What else did he really truly provide? I mean, he was a good player, a role player at times, but someone for Draymond Green that has the fire and the love that he had. I mean, that was a question with J.R. Smith sometimes. Draymond Green, there was never a question about if he cared. In fact, the question was, did he care too much? And he got his reputation, kicking guys, in an area in which no guy wants to be kicked in. We know his reputation, but just give me that guy with that kind of fire over a guy like J.R. Smith any day.
Okay. And then last but not least, I don't even think we're going to argue this one. KD and Kevin Love.
Wow, that's yeah, you're right. We will agree on that one.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a long shot. So
I mean, no disrespect to Kevin Love.
Yeah,
that guy was an awesome player, especially in Minnesota, and played a really good job at the role in Cleveland. But yeah, it's Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. So,
yeah. And then I don't even know who the Cavs 4 was at that time, and I don't know who the Warriors.
I know their center was. I know the
because
Cavaliers center was Timothy Mozgov. That was their center. Okay. I don't remember the 4.
Yeah, so I don't know. It would have been
Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, and then Timothy Mozgov. That's why I think the 5 were for the Cavs. Okay.
And then the 5 for the Warriors, was it JaVale McGee?
No, I think
Anthony Varejao. Anthony Varejao was one of them. I know that for a fact.
He could have been, but he was more like a bench player. I'm thinking the international guy that comes to my mind, a very tall guy. I can't think of his name off the top of the moment.
He works for the Warriors now. Zach Pachulia. Is that how you say his last name?
Maybe.
That may be it. But yeah. So I mean, just looking at those 4 players, I mean, it's kind of half and half. So I mean, who knows? All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll break down college baseball going on, and we'll talk about our alumni, North Greenville University, winning the Division II national title as well. So we'll talk all that and more in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome back into the Sideline Sports Show episode. What was this been? Episode 35? Is that where we're
Yeah,
at?
episode 35.
All right. Well, kicking along, Well, we also got a little bit of baseball today to talk about. College World Series kicks off. And before that, we had some interesting storylines. It almost felt like it was number one Tennessee against everybody else. I saw something. It was like states
Mhm.
rooting for Tennessee, 1. States rooting for Notre Dame in the Super Regionals, 49.
Yeah.
And I was like, it felt pretty accurate, not gonna lie. So,
Yeah.
but they end up falling to Notre Dame in the Super Regionals, a team that went, I think it was 56-9 on the year or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Utterly
right.
insane. I mean, our alma mater, we talked about it before on the head and now. They won the D2 National Championship. We thought they had a great record at 54-10. So Tennessee says, all right, well, we'll go 56-9. So, I mean, they had storyline, bat flips, and at times could be disrespectful and very questionable. But and ultimately, I felt like
They weren't just flipping bats, Tim.
no, they weren't. They weren't just flipping bats. I mean, they also had a guy
They
coming
were flipping some
out of the
birds too.
bullpen that I will be honest with you. When I saw that, I about died laughing because I'm like, I have never
And
seen
it was
that
against
before.
Georgia Tech too, so it felt personal.
That's
felt
right. I
personal.
forgot about that. Yeah, he just out there center fielder. Hey, buddy, you're number one. I'm like, whoa, okay. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, but you're probably going to disagree with me here.
Okay.
I think what Tennessee did was great for the game of college baseball.
Okay.
And I mean,
okay.
fantastic because guess what? We're talking about them.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
We are talking about college baseball. People were paying attention to college baseball. Tennessee gave the college baseball world it gave it attention. Like people were talking about, people care, people were invested. I mean, and it wasn't just like average podcast here and there. It was like at the national level, like ESPN and stuff were talking about it. Being like, hey, what are these guys doing? Like they're doing stuff on a baseball diamond we've never seen before, and that's why. While I mean, it doesn't matter to me whether they won or lost. To me, you almost can't deny that they were good for the game of baseball because that gave everyone the reason to care. And yes, Ben, I know your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets went there. But hey, you guys competed with them very well. You guys did really well in your game. You had a lead for a while before they came back on you. But I mean, that guy coming around, that was what I almost died laughing when I saw that. And it's not anything because it's like, look, I don't condone that or any way, shape, or form. And you know this about me. But I'm like, I maybe something like that when hitting a home run, but hitting a double and you're running around first base going, ha ha. Like, I have never seen that.
Me either.
I was like, that's interesting. And so it just gave everyone someone to hate, someone to rally around. So, and I think that's ultimately is what grows the game of college baseball. People talking about it, it's getting people's attention. And so say what you want about what they did to the game of baseball, but ultimately the very specific thing about college baseball, can't help but think that they were actually very positive for the game.
Yeah, and this term that we've used in the MLB for like 2-3 years now, just let the kids play. And I think that's what they're trying to transcend down to college baseball. And I think one of the biggest things in that is that I know that we get energetic and we get excited and we just don't really care what other people think. And that's what cost them against Notre Dame because now I remember the kids said that was a blank bad call and to the umpire, and he said it twice and then got ejected. And then the head coach for Tennessee got ejected, which ultimately cost them that game against Notre Dame in the elimination game. And so that's the thing. Like, I understand that we get excited and we go a little bit over excessively with our celebrations or even saying some things, but Tennessee did it all year. But now it just got caught now in one of the biggest moments of the season for Tennessee in an elimination game versus Notre Dame. So, I mean, are you really kind of promoting let the kids play or are you not? I mean, it was like there was one video that surfaced around for a while. I think it was East Carolina where the dude hit a home run and he was just sitting there like kind of doing his trot right there in front of the other team's dugout. And he did the bat flip and the umpire just went and shoved him in the back and told him to run. Like,
I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah, and I wasn't a big fan of that either. So it doesn't look like these umpires are really saying, hey, let the kids play. They're not really
Well,
trying to. I think they're trying to eliminate the fun out of this whole entire College World Series a little bit.
Well, yeah, in a way, I do agree with you absolutely on that. But you also got to look at it from a standpoint that Tennessee guy should have never said that. You
I
can't
agree.
just say that to an umpire. And I think that guy had every right to maybe discipline him. Maybe he should have warned him, be like, "Hey, say it one more time, and you're gone."
Well, he said
Maybe
it
he did.
twice. Yeah,
Yeah, he said twice, and you're just like, all right, you know what, you're gone. So I fully support him tossing that guy out
I
there.
agree.
Now that umpire that was kind of doing that's like, look, that's not that. I mean, that ball's gone. Don't take your job too seriously. Relax. Let him have a little bit of fun. It's not going to hurt anything. It's the NCAA regional. If you are getting mad about someone bat flipping on you, that means you're probably mad because you're getting eliminated.
Yeah.
So stop it. Relax. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But that was the probably most shocking news. Now Notre Dame will take on probably the next favorite team to win the College World Series in Texas this weekend. Who do you think wins it now? I mean, because here's the thing, it's a jumbled up mess.
Yeah, it is. And I really do like Texas. I mean, Ivan Melendez, I think he's one home run away from uh, having the BB Core record for home runs in a season. I think he tied Chris Bryant just the other day with his home run against East Carolina, which to me is like that was so impressive of them because they lost game one and then had to win two straight in the absolute jungle that is Pirate Stadium over there in Greenville, North Carolina. That place was rocking. And even jumped out and had to come back after like a 5-hour rain delay and still were able to put it on the Pirates. Was so super impressive. Me, gotta like them as a favorite. Obviously, the team that knocked out the number one team in the country, Notre Dame, is someone you got to keep an eye on. Arkansas, I mean the nerds from Stanford, you got to keep an eye on them. You know you never know. But ultimately, what I really want to see, Ben, at some point, I gotta have a Texas A&M matchup because
I've said that too.
for some reason, I don't know why it is that Texas A&M hates Texas as much as they do. I don't get it. I don't understand how you could hate somebody so much that you don't ever want to play them in anything anymore. That you were so mad about that you did not want them to join the SEC. I'd love that matchup. I think everyone else in
Oh
the
yeah.
country would as well. I think that would provide great ratings as well. And it'd
Yeah.
be really good for the game of college baseball. Yeah, I also like Auburn. I think they're a very solid team as well. So, Oklahoma. One team I also want to be impressed with, that I'm very impressed with, is the Sooners of Oklahoma. They're playing right
Mhm.
now. I don't know what the score is in that game, but that team went on the road in every shape and form. They went to Florida. Had to fight through that game 7 of that regional to get to super regionals. Then they had to go to Virginia Tech where they won 2 out of 3. Number 4 Virginia Tech, who was a very, very talented team, which again NCAA took the fun away from them with their hammer. I don't know if
Yeah,
you saw this.
I
That was
saw that.
ridiculous. But anyway, they were very impressive there. So you got to keep your eye on them as well. Arkansas, the Omahags, you got to keep your eye on them as well, and they're rental players. So
I
overall,
think
I
one
like a
of
lot of teams.
Yeah, I think what would be very, very interesting to him, and this has actually never ever happened in College World Series history, that if Oklahoma and Texas somehow, some way met each other in the championship game, it'd be the first time ever in College World Series history that both the men's s- baseball team and the women's softball team, same two teams, would meet in the College World Series. It'd be the first time
Ooh,
ever.
yeah.
So if they could find their way, I don't know. I haven't looked at the bracket recently. I don't know if that's even possible, but if it is, that'd be the first time ever in College World Series history. So that'd be very, very good. And speaking of softball, Oklahoma, oh my goodness, they blew the brakes off Tennessee in both games. I mean, just pure dominance to win the College World Series in softball. So kudos to them. I'm telling you, what a
Yeah,
dominant performance.
when you think of dominant teams, you think of that Golden State Warriors team, like I mentioned earlier in the first segment of the show, went 16-1 in the postseason. Just other dominant teams as well. I mean, you think regular season wise, that Mariners team in 2001 that set the MLB record for wins in a season. I mean, you think pure dominant teams that just cruise their way to a championship. you got to put that Oklahoma team up there because those
Yeah.
guys, those girls were dominant. I mean, first game, I mean, the fact that you put in a championship series, what did they put on Texas? Like
It was
16 in the
16
first
to
game?
it was 16-1 in game 1.
Goodness. I mean, you don't just do that this is the finals. This is the championship series, and you're beating a team that you're putting up 16 runs?
Yeah.
Yo, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
This Oklahoma team, back-to-back titles now. I mean, props to Jocelyn Allo as well. I mean, NCAA record holder who beat a former Oklahoma Sooner out for the home run queen, I guess you would say, but home run leader, and just absolute dominant player. She's going to be going pro, so and I'd be looking forward to see her in her professional career. But she's absolutely dominant. I mean, she hit a home run in the World Series. I kid you not. I think I might have, if not, been very close to going out on the actual fence because they play on that big old slow pitch softball field for men, and then they kind of make it smaller for the Women's College World Series.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I think either she almost did or she did hit it over that big fence out there. That's over 300 feet. So she's got a ton of power. It'd be interesting to see how this Oklahoma team reloads next year. Which I mean, with what they've done, I wouldn't be surprised in the least. So.
Yeah, now they're back-to-back champs, and they won that second game 10-3. I mean, that's unbelievable that you can score over 10 runs in both games of the College World Series. That's really hard to do, especially
26 runs in the final.
Yeah, so it's just absolutely insane. All right, Tim, anything else about college baseball that piques your interest?
We've got our alma mater.
That's right.
They won the Natty. I think it was a week ago today, actually.
Yeah,
so
it was.
We go today, D2 national champions. Have you been on Woodruff Road here in Greenville, Ben? Before?
No, but I've seen pictures. They've been all over Twitter today.
Yeah, I was going to work, casually at 5 a.m. Naturally. So, and I look out there and I see a billboard on there that says North Greenville D2 national champions on a big old billboard on Woodruff Road, which is one of, if not the most busiest roads we have here in the upstate. So I thought that was pretty cool at the time. So, and of course we've seen pictures with them being on billboards on the interstate as well. So they're all over, and congrats to them. As I mentioned earlier, Landon Powell, a lot of conversation with him and trying to figure out where, because again, he said this, and one of my good friend Mark Ryan, all sides from Mark Ryan, he said he'd only considered leaving North Greenville for one school and one school only been, and that's of course South Carolina. He's very honest, he's very open about it, and I got to be honest with you, as much as I want him to stay at North Greenville, I want him to build that program into the absolute dynasty and absolute just amazing program that he has over there with the well-oiled machine. If South Carolina doesn't give him a look, man, I'm
what are you doing?
I mean, come on. I mean, especially if you have another year with Mark Kingston like you had this past year, you can't accept that. Especially a team that a decade ago, with the 3 straight College World Series finals, won back-to-back national championships, including one of those years you beat Clemson 2 times in a row to eliminate them.
Yeah.
I mean, and embarrassed the Tigers like that. Did it for a second time, by the way. That wasn't the first time they did that either. And now you're going this way. You're not even 500. You can't accept that. You just can't accept that. You haven't been to Omaha in quite some time either. And that's for South Carolina. I think
it's been over a decade.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And with Landon Powell could bring that to you. And I think that's someone who knows the state of South Carolina very well in terms of prospects, because he recruited here. D2. He can't exactly go really far now. Tell that to Ethan Stringer, Marek Kloop, and then Garrick Octavio, 3 players on the team who are from Kentucky. One's from the Czech Republic. One's from Hawaii. So, but for the most part, a lot of the guys were more so local in the Southeast as well. I mean, again, you have a couple of your players, one from New York, but most part, you do a good job recruiting the high schools in the area, and he does that. So, and that's something South Carolina needs as well. So, I think you'd be crazy not to give him a look. I think he's going to be at North Greenville another year, which – fantastic for us, Ben. I think that's great. We get to watch another year of North Greenville with head coach Landon Powell at the helm. So looking forward to another year. Again, they got a really good recruiting class, which comes at a good time because good amount of their guys, definitely the first 2 guys in their order, and their starting center fielder as well are leaving. Or they're gone. Now, their three-hole hitter and their best player, John Michael Fell. Now, he's listed as a redshirt junior, and a lot of people know him because he's widely considered one of the best, if not the best, Division II hitters in the country. Still out in the air. He wants to thinking about professional baseball. He could come back. I haven't seen if he's made an official decision on that yet or not, but he could come back. Again, you're going to have your full four-hole hitter back as well. You picked up you got two local commits as well, a kid for Lawrence and then a kid from Eastside, two very talented 4A programs, both of which were in the upper state finals, and one of those won the state finals here in South Carolina. And by the way, and that kid that won the state finals hit 94 in the state finals in his start in the first game of the state final series. So very talented kid. He can also hit as well. Got a ton of power. Had D1 offers. In fact, was committed to a D1 school before he decommitted from there. And so now he's going to North Greenville. So this North Greenville team should be very exciting. It should be very fun to watch as well next year.
Yeah, and I think the head coach over at South Carolina, what'd you say his name was? I'm sorry.
Mark Kingston.
Mark Kingston. I think the reason why he saved his job this year is because all those kids that decommitted from Clemson lately have gone over to South Carolina. So I think that's really why he's kept his job right now as it is. But I think you give him another year, and then he'll just kind of be out. Because I just don't think he'll work. I just really don't. And you haven't been to Omaha since 2012. And you haven't won at Omaha since 2011. So I'm just saying it's been a while. I don't think he'll get it done in South Carolina this upcoming year, but we'll have to wait and see. Just see how it all plays out.
And to be fair to him, he did get bit by the injury bug this year. So
yeah.
Maybe he'll come back with that. And maybe the two transfers, even though it's funny to me, is a lot of those two transfers from Clemson, both of which were batting in the low 200s. So
exactly.
Good luck to him, I guess.
Yeah. So, all right, we're going to do something in our next segment. It's our rank 'em, but in a little bit of a different way. We get to rank the loudest college football stadiums in the country because college football is right around the corner. And we'll also give you a little bit more information of how we're going to break down some of the conferences in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that as well. So we're about to rank them, but first we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and rank our loudest stadiums in college football. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back in Sideline Sports Show. Ben and Tim here with you on a lovely Friday evening. And Tim, we're going to go ahead and rank our top loudest stadiums in college football. I don't know. I just lost my mind for a second. But anyway, it's presented by our friends at Section 103. Go check them out, section103.com. You can use your 10% off code at checkout using the code Sideline at checkout. Really cool. They actually just got stickers, Tim, for a laptop, and they're supposedly they are sending us a few. So shout out to Section 103 for doing that as well. All right, let's rank.
I will say those stickers are really cool. You know, they're starting to stick on me.
Wow. Good job, Tim. Good job. All right. Here we go. I'm going to start with my honorable mentions first, Tim, and then we'll go with your honorable mention. My first honorable mention, ladies and gentlemen, is Camp Randall Stadium at the University of Wisconsin. Here's why. I would say when they do jump around and the stadium's full, it's loud. I mean, it's not up there in my top 10, but it would definitely be top 15. And Tim's not going to like my second honorable mention. But it's
we're supposed
to
do multiple honorable mentions.
No. I just did. I did two. You did one. It's fine. But mine is Michigan. As
really
honorable mention. Yes.
Big House. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like there's other stadiums that we'll mention in this list that are louder than them. All right, Tim. So let's go ahead. Let's do your honorable mention, my good sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my honorable mention is, if you want to go throw it there, is Kinnick Stadium over at Iowa Hawkeyes. They're very They can get very loud, and people are like, why is this in there? It's like, well, this is only an honorable mention, and here's why. They have a beautiful tradition that they do. I can't remember when. I think it's at the end of the third quarter. I'm mistaken, where they turn back and
Yeah, right
everybody,
before the fourth.
even the opposing team, they wave at the medical center there, and all the kids that are gathered there, and everybody's waving. The kids are waving back. It's like it tugs at your heart, and you're like, oh man, that's awesome. So I think for me that environment and the what that does, that for me that garnets honorable mention.
Yeah. All right. For number 10 for me, this one hurts a lot for me to even say. Um, and I'll tell you why I put it at number 10. And it is Sanford Stadium, University of Georgia. Here's why.
Ooh,
Um, and this is one my if I were doing the obnoxious list, I feel like this would be up at number like one, because I just can't stand adults barking at me as an adult. So, but it is allowed. So, especially in the fourth quarter, in a night game on a Saturday night down in Athens, Georgia. So, I'll give them credit, where credit's due. So they are my number 10 spot. So Tim, who you got at number 10?
at number 10, I've got. You want to go and put it up there? Doak Campbell Stadium at FSU. I mean, this place, and don't think about it with the current Florida State situation everywhere. Think about it when primetime Knowles, for instance, their game against Notre Dame this past year on that Monday night, the one where Brian Kelly said his whole team needs to be executed. That one. I mean, they have the Seminole. I
Oh
don't know if
man,
they still do this just because of the stupid political nature that we have in this country, with the guy on the horse going out there and throwing the spear down at
they
midfield.
still do that.
Okay, good. That's good. So when that's done, man, under the lights, man, at nighttime, it's you kind of like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. Even that's coming from a Clemson fan too.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot, and I think it's definitely worth being in the top 10.
All right, number 9 for me. I think this is probably one of the coolest entrances, and this is not a big stadium, but I feel like it's a night game. You walk in to Blacksburg, Virginia, into Lane Stadium,
Yeah.
and Enter Sandman comes on. I just it's a different atmosphere for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's not a big stadium. It's probably not one of the loudest stadiums, but I give them credit where credit is due, and I have Lane Stadium up at number 9 for me.
Fair
Tim,
enough. Love
yeah,
that entrance. Love that
yeah,
entrance. So
love that interest. So
so at number 9, I've got drum roll. I don't even know how to say that name. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Autzen,
Austin. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know how to say it, but Oregon, the Quackers. I think it's an interesting stadium. I think that everything that they have, it's a unique environment. It's not one of the best in terms of in which way, but the tradition that they have there at Austin Stadium in Oregon in Eugene, I think it's really cool. I think it's definitely a unique environment. So
yeah. All right, let me think. Number 8, yeah. Well, for number 8 for me, I don't even have to explain much, because Tim just did it.
all right,
Like you said, it's a unique environment. It's probably not one of the top ones you would think of, but in the Pac-12, like if you asked everybody in the Pac-12, this is like the second loudest stadium in the whole Pac-12. And on my list, we'll get to the top Pac-12 stadium that's the loudest. So, spoiler alert. All right, Tim, you're number 8. Hold on, I gotta find it. Oh, there we go. There you go.
yep, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Yep, Florida, the swamp. I mean, again, it speaks for itself. I mean, a lot of its peak glory days were with Tim Tebow when he was there. A very tough place to play. At least it used to be. So maybe that'll get back with our new head coach. But again, a tough place to play. It's a crazy environment, and it definitely home field advantage when the people show up to the swamp. So and again, SEC football environment. While you said what you want about the football and their passion, their traditions, they show up and their game day environments are usually pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, number 7 for me. And guess what? I don't have to say anything again. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, University of Florida. I mean, it's like you mentioned, back in the glory days, Tim Tebow. I'm telling you, this place was packed. It was rocking every single Saturday. I'm telling you, it's probably one of the loudest SEC stadiums. It's definitely not, but I feel like a lot of these SEC stadiums could dominate this list of how loud they're going to be on
Yeah.
a Saturday. So, but they're coming in at number 7 for me. All right, Tim, we've already seen this one, but for you, it's a little bit higher. So tell us
Yes.
why you have Virginia Tech at number
Lane
7.
Stadium. I got this mainly for the night portion because when that Enter Sandman comes on, that place is rocking and I mean like shaking. I mean that place is just it is turning up. I never forget when Clemson went there a couple years ago and played a game under lights. Everybody was packed. It was pre-COVID, and it was such a high buildup. It was like, oh, Clemson's on upset alert, and while it was an amazing atmosphere, and Clemson players were even getting into it, they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, this is pretty lit. And then they turned up and they ended up winning. It ended up dominating the game from start to finish. So I have fond memories of that game. But most places, excuse me, teams go in there and they kind of get overwhelmed by it. And so it definitely can be intimidating if you're not used to it. And if you see it for the first time, it's like you're a freshman, you're traveling, or maybe you're a sophomore or junior, and your team doesn't get over there very much, and you go into that environment, it can be definitely tough. And it could definitely be an interesting atmosphere. So I definitely have that just because of that atmosphere and that entrance could definitely play into the portion of getting and having home field advantage. That's why I have it at number 7.
All right, number 6 for me. I feel like more than half my list is SEC stadiums, and this is another one. Neyland Stadium, University of Tennessee. And here's why. I think when this is a packed out stadium like you see in this background picture right here, I feel like, and I know that a lot of people down here don't like Rocky Top, but here's the thing: when this whole stadium's singing Rocky Top on a Saturday night, I mean, we saw it at the Tennessee baseball game on TV a couple weeks ago. I mean, that place is rocking. So I got to put it up there at number 6 for me. I mean, it's a very high quality stadium, really good fan base, and very committed fan base, even though they've had a ton of bad years since Peyton Manning has left.
Yeah,
So
just a little bit.
just a little bit. And
I
then
will give you props on that because like when they do the checker out,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. I will
Yeah,
say.
I'll admit that is pretty cool too. All right, you actually have a Big Ten team right here at your number 6 team. So explain this one.
Do I have the Horseshoe, Ohio State? Because this team right here, again, a very historic program. When you go into the stadium, especially when you go in for like a Ohio State Michigan game, this could be one of the great atmospheres. And now it's got to be prime time. Like a lot of those games in which you talk about, sometimes don't need prime time to be high. This stadium, it definitely prefers it because they're more like a business or like Alabama, Clemson. They go into games they expect to win. But when it's a primetime game at home against Penn State or it's against Michigan, that place is rocking and can be really, really loud. So it can be super hype as well. So that's why I put it on there just because of those primetime games. When they do have them, man, they can get turned, as some people will say. So I think it can be a very loud environment, can be very tough to play in.
Yeah. All right, number 5 for me, Tim. The loudest Pac-12 stadium, which honestly, when you look at decibels, this has hit the highest decibel rating in all of college football stadiums, believe it or not. At 121 decibels, it is Husky Stadium at the University of Washington. Here's the thing. When this place is packed out, I mean, you can tell. I mean, it's jam-packed. It gets loud up in there, but they built that stadium to where you can have a smaller crowd, but it's going to act like there's over 100,000 people in there. So they did a really good job constructing that stadium, and it's one of the loudest in Pac-12, and they deserve it because honestly, it's like the decibel rating is up there. It's the highest, and I mean they got a really good fan base up there in Washington. They've always been committed, always been there, and I mean, who knows? I mean they've had a couple of decent teams during the years too, so it's been really interesting for them. But Tim, I'm honestly shocked about your number 5, Tim,
Okay.
because I didn't expect your number 5 to be this low.
Really? Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, this isn't best teams. This isn't everything. I mean, it's top 5. It's one of the best venues in college football. Again, we're talking about entrances. This is one of the better ones, if not the best one. People say, "Oh, you just run down a hill." No, 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 no. You got to be there. You got to understand it. I've never been to a night game at Clemson, especially a big prime time game. I want to so badly. I wish I could have been there for the Florida State games.
Yeah.
Not the 54-13 one, but
The Louisville game, Notre
that
Dame
Louisville
game.
game Yeah, the Notre game, the monsoon game. The again the Deshaun Watson versus Lamar Jackson game. Those two games, man. Death Valley doesn't get much louder than that. I mean, there's not going to be any place, even in that game in which I mentioned that they got blown up by Florida State and Jameis Winston, they registered pretty high on the seismograph. I mean, that place was loud early on. I mean, it was a top 5 matchup, and for good reason, too. It was highly built. Unfortunately, the game didn't turn out the way I wanted it to at all, but it was just one of those things, man. The Death Valley and Clemson, South Carolina is just something else, man. It's one of the top venues in terms of tailgating. And again, they're going to be expanding it soon as well. They're getting one of the biggest, if not the biggest, jumbotron scoreboards in the country now. They're hopefully going to expand the East Wing a little bit and kind of close it a little bit. I'm hoping so, and hopefully that'll make it even louder. So which would be awesome.
Yeah, and that's the reason why this is my number 4. Because I'm telling you, I've been to a Clemson night game before many times when they've played Georgia Tech. Even in the pouring down rain one year when they were playing Georgia Tech, that place, the ground was literally shaking underneath my feet. And it's like Tim said, it's, if not the greatest, one of the greatest entrances in college football. Because I mean, it's like you said, it's literally a bus ride from. I gotta pull the picture back up. Right there in the background where those tunnels are. I mean, you literally all behind that. You ride a bus all the way around to the other side of the stadium. Get off the buses, walk out, greet fans, meet at the top of the rock, touch the rock, go down the hill. There's no other team that does anything unique as that right there. And that's what kind of separates them. And I'm telling you, when Clemson runs down that hill, it's probably one of the loudest stadiums. I mean, just being honest. All right. Number 3, or excuse me, number 4 for you, Tim. Sorry.
Trying to
This
skip
is,
me, man. What the heck?
yeah, sorry.
It's all good.
One of my honorable mentions, Tim. So explain why you have them so high.
Because it's the big house, it goes straight up. It's so loud whenever there's a primetime game or there's a big game, and it's just one of those things where they fit over. It's over 100,000 people in the stands, and it's just straight up. There's no upper deck in the stadium. It just goes up, and then there's a press box. It's just one of those things. It is one of the greatest environments in all sports. It's just a big house. And also gets points for me for being very historic as well. So I think the big house should be very high up on that list.
Yeah. All right, Tim. We actually have the same number 3. Uh, so we can kind of both talk about it, but my number 3
Yep.
and your number 3 is Kyle Field at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm telling you, day, afternoon, night game, it don't matter.
Yeah.
I always my biggest game that I can remember off the top of my head was where Texas A&M and LSU played each other, and they scored like 72 points each or something like that, 70 something points each.
Yeah. That
And
7 overtime game.
yeah,
Yeah.
that 7 overtime game, that place, even though it was like 1 in the morning, that place was still rocking. I mean, the cameras were shaking, and it's just a loud environment to go into. It's one of the SEC schools that I would not want to go into and enter if I was playing away. I mean, Alabama, struggled on the road when they played Texas A&M this past year.
They
So,
lost him.
and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the main reasons why. It's because it's one of the loudest stadiums in the SEC. So I give kudos to them. Is there anything I missed, Tim, for your
Well, I
number?
mean,
It's your number 3
I would
too.
say, yeah, the 12th man. I mean, again, another stadium can have over 100,000 people in the stands, and you can tell that there's 100,000 people there as well. They're so loud. They care so much about their team, which is awesome. And the reason why for me is just it's so high up there, and it's deserving of the top 3.
This is where it gets interesting, Tim, because these two teams we've both had as our 2 or as our or is our, I don't know how I'm saying it. It's either our 2 or our 1. All
Right.
right. My number 2 is Penn State. On a normal given Saturday, I wouldn't put this up there, but it's where I'm observing like everything. And if you make this the whiteout game,
Mm-hmm.
it's easily top 2. And I believe this is one of the loudest stadiums when it is the whiteout game. I mean, they pack this place out. They go nuts for like one night of the year during a whiteout game, and well deserved. I mean, well
Oh yeah.
deserved to be in the top two. I mean, best packed Big Ten stadium in the whole entire country, hands down. I mean, there's no argument. I even and it's not even called the Big House. I don't know why. Why is it called Beaver Stadium? I've always wondered that, but I mean, just weird thought. So
I don't know. That's a good
yeah.
question.
But your number two
Yep.
is my number one, Tim. It's Tiger Stadium at LSU.
Yep. You want to talk about the nastiest of the nastiest people that you can go into, and in terms of if you're running a church, that's a problem. But for a football team and you're looking for a home field advantage, that's A plus plus plus. And these guys do that very well. I swear to you, Ben, these guys, and this is not news to you, I'm pretty sure like they have like 10 beers and stuff as a pregame before they go even make their way into the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, they're drunk before they get in the stadium, and then they go in there and they get even more drunk out there. And it's unbelievable atmosphere if you're playing for LSU. If you're going in there, I mean, Tim Tebow talked about in his book, I remember reading this, talking about how LSU fans would actually leaked his phone number, and there were fans that would call Tim Tebow and would taunt him and all this kind of stuff, and they're just like, wow, these guys are insane. And so when you go to that atmosphere, it's even more crazy. It's like, again, legit feeling like, okay, I know why it's Death Valley, because some people feel like they may not make it out of here. So it's just one of the terms of the atmospheres and stuff to experience. It's tough if you're a opposing fan, but if you're going in there and you're going to pretend to be an LSU fan for a day, it could be memorable.
Yeah, and that's why it's my number one. I mean, here's the thing for me. I've never been to an LSU game, never have, but I know people that are Georgia fans have come back and they've said, Benjamin, I could have died when I went to LSU. Why? But it's exactly what you said. They party when they right before they get in there. They eat a ton of jumbo. I mean, probably one of the best tailgating spots
Gumbo
down here in the South. Yeah, gumbo. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah.
And probably one of the best tailgating spots down here in the SEC. And then you get into the game, it's packed out no matter who they're playing. They could be playing
McNeese State.
Yeah, like no, I had a team I was gonna anyway. They could be playing the no-name team. That place is still packed out, rocking, and they'll enjoy themselves all the way until the fourth quarter. Just one of the loudest stadiums overall in the whole entire Southeast. And it's like you said, it's called Death Valley for a reason, because you don't know if you're going to walk in alive and then you exit dead. I mean, you really just don't know, because it's
I
crazy.
equivalent it.
That crazy.
I equivalent it to walking into United States Mexico soccer match in an arena. You don't know if and you're United States fan sitting in the Mexico section. You don't know if you're going to make it out of there.
Sea of the
you don't know if you're definitely going to get into a fight.
Red. Yeah,
you're definitely going to get into a fight, especially if the United States scores a goal, and you may have some bags of urine on you. I'll be honest with you. I mean, that's what they do. They'll throw bags, they'll throw cups, they'll throw everything at you, because that's what they do. But yeah, and so I kind of equivalent to that. You don't know if you're going to make it out of there. You're definitely not going to make it out of there, without any harm whatsoever. So
yeah, and then your number one was my number two.
Yep,
Penn State.
And for one reason and one reason only, Ben, and you mentioned it, the whiteout game. That place, when it's a whiteout, I mean, everybody remembers that clip where they're vibing out there, the song, call. You know what I'm talking about? The song, everybody's just vibing. And Michigan's got to take a timeout before the first play of the game. Yeah. There hasn't been maybe 12 seconds off the clock from the opening kickoff, and Michigan already had to call a timeout.
Yeah,
it was because the place was rocking that hard.
To Mo Bamba. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, thank you. That's what I couldn't think of the song. Yeah, they were rocking out to Mo Bamba, and it was just like, wow, this is like, wow, give me a white shirt. I want to go do this real quick.
Yeah.
Even if it's Clemson playing, I'm going to go out there in a white shirt, and this looks like fun. And so
Yeah.
it's just one of those environments you're just nervous to play in, and it's not very easy either at all. It's one of those just so many places like equivalent to Clemson, South Carolina. It's just different when it's a night game, and for Beaver Stadium, it's totally different when you play a night game, especially when it's a whiteout game. So for me, it's enough to put it at number one atmosphere.
You realize, and here's the whole list of our loudest stadiums in college football. So if you want to take a screenshot and then just judge us and tell us how wrong we are, go right ahead. But I mean, my thing is that I've realized that every single stadium that we've talked about, Tim, is a better stadium as a night game. Like
Mm-hmm.
you look at this list. I mean, LSU, Penn State, Texas A&M, Clemson, Washington, because they always play late night games. Tennessee, Florida, Oregon, Virginia Tech, Georgia. Uh, what else did we miss? Michigan, Ohio State, and Florida State. They're all better as night games
Oh
for
yeah,
college football. And I think it's just a better environment. I just don't know. It's just something when those lights come on, it's a different atmosphere. I mean, for
which is
every
why
single
it
stadium.
blows my mind that Fox has their best game of the day on at noon. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they missed a ton. I think they're trying to be different from ESPN with ABC and their deal and everything. But to me, it's just like, I mean, they're having the Alabama Texas game this year, Ben, at noon.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the same, bro. It's not the same feel. It's just
I mean,
not.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, did we mention one stadium? I think the only stadium that we mentioned that was a Fox's primetime game was Ohio State. That was the only one. And
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin. That was the only two. Oh, Michigan as well. Yeah, but that's it. Because Penn State, they normally play a night game. They never their big primetime games are always night games. So because
Yeah,
Michigan, Ohio State, they always play at like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Um, let me see. Oregon, they always play night games. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I don't see why they do it at 11 a.m. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, Central Time for us, it's 12
yeah,
a.m. So. All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. But first, before you go, make sure to check out all of our social media pages right there, Sideline Sports Show. You can go look them up all on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can go check them all out right there, Sideline Sports Show. And then go check our friends out at section103.com for all of your comfortable merchandise for Georgia Tech athletics. And now they've actually teamed up with an NIL deal with all Georgia Tech athletes. So that's pretty cool. So good
yeah.
job. Kudos to
Pay
them.
no
So,
attention to what's behind me. Then pay no attention.
yeah. And Tim, can we just go ahead and give some breaking news?
Just throwing that out there. Yeah, go ahead.
This is literally just came in 14 minutes ago, but we've been doing the show. Next week, you want to know who our guest is for our show?
Ooh, who is it?
Just got an email. Landon Powell will be joining the show next week.
Oh,
Division
nice.
II national championship coach for North Greenville. So he'll join the show. We'll get to talk to him next week.
You're gonna have to tell me
Uh,
off air how you got that, because that's awesome.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Thanks. Shout out to my great friend Alan Cahaley, who
Oh,
helped
beautiful.
me out
Oh,
there. Yeah, Alan Cahaley hooked us up. So shout out to Alan Cahaley. So we'll have Landon Powell on the show with us next week. From North Greenville University. So that's all the time we have. Make sure to tune in next week for our interview with Division II national champion Landon Powell. And until then, have a great week, and we will see you guys next week as we interview Landon Powell.